Chapter 12. At times the armed circumcilians even lay in wait by the roads for the servant of God Augustine, when he happened to be going by invitation to visit, instruct, and exhort Catholic congregations, something he did quite frequently. On one occasion, though out in full force, they missed their prey, because by the providence of God, who used the error of a guide, the bishop and his companions reached their destination by a different route. He learned later on that because of this mistake he had escaped the hands of the wicked, and he and all the others gave thanks to God their deliverer. As the public records show, the circumcilians typically spared neither laity nor clerics. In this context, I must not pass over what this man, so illustrious in the Church, undertook and carried through by his diligence and his zeal for God's house against the Donatist rebaptizers. As one of those bishops whom he had sent forth from among the clergy of his monastery was visiting the diocese of Calama that had been entrusted to his care, and for the peace of the Church was preaching what he had learned in opposition to this heresy, it happened that midway on his journey he ran into an ambush set by the circumcilians. He and his companions escaped, but they were robbed of their animals and baggage, and the bishop himself was seriously injured and wounded. The defender of the church, who had the law on his side, would not remain silent lest the peace and growth of the church be further hindered. As a result, Crispinus, the Donatist bishop of Calama and the neighboring region, a well-known elderly and learned man, was sentenced to pay a fine in gold, as prescribed in the laws of the state against heretics. He objected, however, appeared before the proconsul, and denied he was a heretic. The defender of the church withdrew from the case, and it became necessary for the Catholic bishop to represent the opposition and prove that Crispinus really was what he denied being. For if the latter succeeded in hiding his real character, the ignorant might assume from his denial that the Catholic bishop was the real heretic. Augustine's failure to appear would thus have been an occasion of scandal to the weak. At the insistence, therefore, of Bishop Augustine of esteemed memory, these two bishops of Calama met for debate. This was the third clash between the two on the differences between their communions. A great multitude of Christians in Carthage and throughout Africa waited upon the outcome of the case. In a written judgment of the proconsul, Crispinus was declared a heretic. But the Catholic bishop intervened with the judge for him and asked that the fine not be applied. This favor was granted him. The ungrateful Donatist, however, appealed to the most merciful sovereign, but the required response to the petition brought this answer. It was decreed that the Donatist heretics should not be allowed to exist anywhere, and that they were everywhere to be bound by all the laws passed against heretics. The decree also obliged the judge and the court and Crispinus himself each to pay a fine of 10 pounds of gold for not having earlier required the fine of Crispinus. But the Catholic bishops, and especially Augustine of sacred memory, promptly took steps to have the ruler pardon all three and withdrew the sentence. This was accomplished with the Lord's help. The Church's growth was greatly advanced by this vigilance and holy zeal.